Yesterday at Row House, some guy came in as a bloody Santa with an axe, and he had to be like, "Don't worry, it's not real." I'm like, "Okay, cool," because it looks real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Does that happen all the time?
No, it was like they were just doing like some kind of like Santa pub crawl, and obviously they like what we're talking about today wanted to be ironic Santa, like where Santa was crazy, you know.
I mean, I think a fat man in red and white clothes who goes around the whole earth in one night delivering presents, going down people's chimneys. That sounds kind of crazy to me.
What, you mean Tim Allen?
Yeah.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Ryan, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Kind, and join my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Top of the morning to you, old chap.
Top of the morning to you. It's been a little bit of a spell since we haven't recorded one of these. We're back for now. I keep saying that. I keep saying we're back. It's like, things happen. I got a nasty cold. Like, not now, but I did. And that was part of the reason is because I didn't think that anyone listening to our podcast wants to hear me hack up, a lung.
Those episodes are always the hardest when one of us has some kind of allergy or and you're
and then I have to go back in and edit it, and I'm like, I'm too lazy to cut those out, so I'll leave those in. And I'm pretty sure that like someone who's listened to our show while they're at the gym suddenly hears a nasty and that they're on like a walking track, and they just suddenly trip over themselves, bust their head open, and then they're just like, "Thanks, Cinema Psychos, you just fucked up my whole head."
Well, we actually we specialize in fucking up people's heads over here at the show.
We do specialize in that. Speaking of this week's episode, talking about fucking up your head, it's the holidays. Yay!
Yeah, happy Noel, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus for the rest of us. Or if you don't celebrate anything. Yeah.
There's Yule in there too, right?
Oh, yeah, Yule.
Yeah,
Yule,
can't forget Yule.
Noel, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, it's the holidays,
I celebrate capitalism. Presents and ham.
I think everybody celebrates capitalism.
Yeah.
Even if they say they don't. I would love a socialist utopia, but at the same time, I like presents.
Yeah, stockings kick ass. Yeah,
yeah. This week we are going to be breaking down. We've done a couple in the past couple of years that we've talked about Christmas horror movies, but this time around we wanted to specifically pick a couple. And I don't know about you, John, but I picked like my top three that are out there streaming right now. Okay. Streaming on Shudder, also streaming on a couple other places. But they're ones that you right now, as you're listening to this episode, after you're done and you're just like, I want to watch a couple of these. Guess what? You can watch them right now. Okay.
Yeah. The whole idea of us being a horror movie podcast, that confusion is not going to be helped right now.
It's not. It's not. But here's the thing: like we were gonna do, we had planned, and this just goes to show you. And I have no problem peeking behind the curtain here. So like. John and I had planned a couple times to record an episode that was more appropriate for the holiday, specifically Thanksgiving, but life happened. Like lots of life happened. Like we were going to record Dutch. I think we said we were going to do it. I think did you end up watching Dutch, John?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get back to it. Yeah. We'll get back to it. But we were going to record Dutch. And then what ended up happening was I got sick. Other life things happened. Whole bunch of stuff. So ultimately, like the episode dates getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. Where it's like now, if we were to do Dutch, it's well past Thanksgiving. And now we're really getting deep into the Christmas time. Which, I mean, yes, we could probably do It's a Wonderful Life, but honestly, I don't find it that interesting of a watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's Christmas horror. It is. So, John, just a question for you. Do you gravitate automatically to the horror side of Christmas or the traditional side of Christmas movies or the comedy Christmas movies around this time of the year?
Well, I naturally gravitate, I would say, towards irony of holidays. And it seems like more than anything, you have like ironic Christmas specials other than like, It's a Wonderful Life and like Charlie Brown, like the Muppets Christmas Carol has a hint of like irony because the Muppets are were transgressive back in the day, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is, comedy and, so yeah, like, and I obviously always wanted to find like the most inappropriate things you could for the holidays. So I took it upon myself to try to watch as many old school Christmas horror themed movies as I possibly could. I know that there's like maybe 400 of them that have come out since like 2010, and I have not really seen too many of those because like I love that like 70s 80s grindhouse B movie aesthetic.
Yeah.
So as ironic as you can go with the holidays, when you've watched Beavis and Butthead do Christmas like one too many times,
Bob Scratchit.
Yeah. Ebenezer Screw.
That's a good Beavis, man. I gotta say, that's a really good Beavis.
Another Christmas classic.
Yeah, but I know for me, like, I tend to split my time during the holidays. My what holiday movies I try to watch. I split my time between the horror and the comedy stuff. Like, I don't really care about like the traditional Christmas movies that you watch. It's goofy comedy or nothing. Like last night we were jumping between Jingle All the Way, which we've done on the show and is a fucking classic.
Smash hit holiday classic.
Smash hit holiday classic. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger would call it the biggest box office Christmas movie of all time. And we were watching that, and my wife Lauren was just like, I hate this movie, right? And I'm like, what? She doesn't like it at all. She finds it boring. So, if you're married, you know how it is. Once your significant other's just like, yeah, I don't really want to watch this, and you're just like, well, we're watching it. We're already like, half an hour in. You eventually change it. So, well, we changed it. What was that?
I said certain people of a certain age, not Lauren, but who are maybe in their like early 20s, mid 20s now, like unironically like Jingle All the Way because they saw it when they were super little.
Yes.
And it's one of those like Christmas traditions, because you watch this time of year. Like every year at this time, I watch Home Alone. In the like a couple of years back, I thought to myself, this is not a good movie at all.
No, it's not.
But I watch it because it's Christmas.
That was the other one we switched to. That was the one that Lauren loves. She loves Home Alone. So, and then I'm watching, I'm just going like, none of this is realistic.
Yeah.
Like, at what point, why would a police officer just hang out in the middle of a foyer just for shits and giggles? Yeah. Like, they got stuff to do. So, like, that right there is a red flag to me.
Yeah.
But then all this stuff, like, and I keep watching it. I was watching it last night, and I'm just like, Kevin McAllister is a horrible person because the guy, he orders pizza from Little Nero's, and he only gives the guy $12 for $11.80.
Yeah, what a cheapskate.
Yeah, no, not even a cheapskate. He's just a piece of shit.
Yeah,
well,
he's also 8.
What was that?
He's also 8.
Yeah, I don't care. And here's my other thing too. Every place that he went to where there was a grown adult that he was interacting with, none of them thought it was strange that an 8-year-old was, I don't know, trying to buy a toothbrush by themselves, that an 8-year-old wasn't, buying a whole load of groceries and giving you clearly, things that would be red flags to me, saying there's something going on. So it's a movie that the suspension of disbelief, that barrier for entry, for enjoyment, it has diminishing returns as you get older. You're just like, this is not good. This is not as good as it looks.
Well, hey, at least the first film, like you could suspension of disbelief. You could logically talk your way out of the like.
You could, I guess. That's when we were watching.
But like the second movie, they're like fucking bricks hitting them in the head, and they're being electrocuted. It's like,
have you seen the edits that have been done to Home Alone that make it R-rated?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, they're so glorious. So glorious. I was watching a couple of them after last night. I was just like, these are so good. Got to check them out. I'll put a link to them in the show notes there, but they're so good where they make it realistic. Because, I'm sorry, a human being getting hit by a paint can, that will kill them on the spot.
Yeah, and that's kind of a sneak peek into one of the things.
That's one of that's one of my picks. I'm sure we've got the same pick.
I'll let you take it. Yeah.
It's okay. It's cool, man. It's cool, man. We can share picks. Anyway, as I said, I jump between comedy and I jump between horror movies. You know, I'll watch Scrooged with Bill Murray, which is one of my absolute favorite Christmas films. I think we talked about it last year, and then I'll jump between that and say something like, I don't know, Krampus, the Christmas Demon, the Anti-Santa, released in I think 2015, and I'll have a good time. You know, I'll have a good time.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, these picks here, they're supposed to be on streaming. So they're right now. If you wanted to go watch them, you could. We're gonna go through kind of our picks and kind of give a couple little nuggets of information about them. But John, why don't you start?
All right. Yeah. One that I would want to start with here, and I'm not really going to say much about it because if you want to know every goddamn thing about it under the earth, go back and check our 200th episode. But I'd say,
I know which one you're going to go with.
Yeah, the coup de grace here, it would be Black Christmas. And this is like, if you're looking for something like horror themed for Christmas that is actually, in my opinion, very good, I would go with Black Christmas. Like I said, if you want to know everything about it and then some, check out our 200th episode. So sorry to be horribly vague on it, people, but we check our archives. We
did talk about Black Christmas like to death.
Yeah,
that was a good like 2 hour. Was it 2? I think it was 2 hours.
Over 2 hours.
Over 2 hours of nothing but talking about Black Christmas. Which I mean, I was the first to say, this is not my favorite movie. But the truth is that if you were to say, what is the It's a Wonderful Life of horror for Christmas time, it's Black Christmas. It's one you start with. It's one if you're just like, you know what, I want a Christmas themed movie, but I want to see some bloody and some gore in it. You can't go wrong with Black Christmas. There's some fantastic fashion in that fucking movie. I gotta say, some hilarious 1970s Canadian fashion in that film. I think one guy has like some sort of coat that's all made out of fur. It looks like a pimp coat.
Landline phones. Like people today, like young people watching will be like, "What the hell is that thing?" It's like out of Star Trek.
Margot Kidder, who's drunk off her ass and high at the same time in the movie, and then trying to sleep with everybody. It's a fun time. It's a fun time.
Yeah, I don't think she even had a script. I don't think they ever gave her one.
I don't think they did. I don't think they gave her a script. I think it was just do you. Do you. John, where can they find that one at? Where can they find Black Christmas? Is that on Shudder?
Yeah, once again, folks, we are not paid by Shudder, but don't think that we're saying that out of like some pride. If they wanted to throw us a couple of bucks, we would take it. But
I'm just saying we are for sale.
Yeah, I'm using Shudder as a good point. I'm sure, like, you know, Amazon, all hail King Bezos. I'm sure you could find these things there too. But yeah, I'm using Shudder as my guide. Once again, Shudder, give us some money.
Yeah, Shudder. You know, Shudder's a good one for this sort of thing. Also good for a lot of obscure ones. There are a couple of obscure ones that I found on Shudder that are interesting. You know, Amazon. I kind of view Amazon as a wasteland.
Yeah.
Have you ever like gone on Amazon Prime and you're just like looking through what you're recommended? And you're just like, where the fuck do these come from? Like it really, I think we've talked about this before, that Amazon is basically the video store experience. distilled digitally. You know,
Pretty
the only
much,
difference is you don't have like the person at the front counter giving you like their favorite picks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's nice, and that's missing now. But the algorithm will give you suggestions.
The algorithm is funded by a man who literally spent his money on a dick-shaped rocket. So you want me to believe that guy? I'm sorry, I don't. All right, what's your next pick, John?
So I'm trying to stick a little traditional and maybe throw out like, one or two surprises.
Gotcha.
But Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, I do suggest.
Oh, those are good ones. Yeah.
If you want absolutely traditional Santa Claus Christmas slasher exploitation at its finest, these are the great way to go. I suggest watching these with friends under some kind of narcotics.
We did.
Yeah. Please
Not narcotics, but alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol. I say alcohol and weed. I do not promote any serious drug use. But that's up to you. It's
you don't go ahead and like shoot up a speedball.
Yeah,
and watch Silent Night, Deadly Night.
But I bet you'd have a whole different like feel about the movie. But yeah. So if you want to see a kid going down a drunk college guy going down the hill on a sled, only to get his head cut off by an axe by Santa Claus, but not really Santa Claus. He's just a demented, toy store employee dressed as Santa. And then, then wanting to see the sequel, which is just a con.
I was going to say the sequel is less related to Christmas than the first one is. Like the first one, at least it's at Christmas time, and it somewhat makes sense.
Well, technically,
somewhat.
It does what these movies always do, and they film them in like sunny LA because they're already there, and so they want to shoot where it's the cheapest thing about. But nothing looks any less like Christmas than LA, and they always shoot it in like April.
Yes,
there's no Christmas trees. It's just it's ridiculous looking. But Eric Freeman, who plays the main character in that, Caldwell, he is the only reason this movie is watchable. I do find it hilarious that it is just a recap of the original movie for the first 65% of it. Other people might just be infuriated by that. I think it's funny. But then, Eric is just unleashed at the end of this movie.
Garbage Day!
Yeah. Yeah, if you've ever seen the Garbage Day clip and you don't know what the fuck it's from, that's exactly where it's from. So I would watch them as a doubleheader after a couple of brewskis with some friends.
Well, you gotta figure, John. Like after you have gotten through Silent Night, Deadly Night, you are really, really hammered by that time, and so the obvious errors with Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 are not very apparent at that point. That's why you don't go into it with Part 2 and work backwards.
Yes.
That's good picks. I know for me, I love Silent Night, Deadly Night because it has one of my favorite Scream Queens in it, Linnea Quigley, and I think one of her first roles where she gets, half naked impaled by a bunch of deer horns.
If you need some titties, good old Quigley will be there for you.
Linnea Quigley just brings up all the 1980s titties. It's what she does. Yeah. And she can act, which is great. Like,
yes.
I think I was watching a documentary where she was in it, and she said that the allure of the Scream Queen is just that not only were they good to look at, but they also could act. Like, crazy concept there. But he was right. I mean, they absolutely can. But yeah, great film. And it honestly, it's one of those ones that kind of follows a similar pattern of a lot of Christmas movies where Santa Claus becomes the villain, and usually there's something that precipitates the Santa Claus becoming a villain thing. Usually it's psychological trauma.
It's usually something sexual. It's like somebody who's like have been there 1 year as a psych major and learned about Freud.
Yes.
And only Freud.
Yes, only Freud. It's like you somehow saw Santa Claus, like, in Silent Night, Deadly Night, kill your family and then like rape your mom on the highway.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, that would fuck you up pretty good. But why would they then want to turn you into Santa Claus? Like, that's what I don't get, but okay. Whatever.
Naughty.
What's your other pick, John? Then I'll go into my. Well, how many movies you got?
Oh, just I'll just mention briefly 2 other ones. If you're looking for something a little bit more recent and a little bit more of like true quality and not just like having a good time kind of stuff here, Rare Exports and A Christmas Horror Story.
You got one of mine I picked.
Okay.
That's cool. It's cool. Christmas Horror Story is one I picked, but yeah, Rare Exports. I haven't seen that one. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, it took me a while to watch it because it's from 2010, and but yeah, it's a high quality Finnish film. Yeah, dealing. So it's very fun to watch, like Christmas horror from a different lens, a different country. But they focus on actual quality with this film. It's not just like make money. Christmas plus blood.
Christmas plus blood. I mean, you're not wrong, but it yeah.
So yeah, that's also on Shudder. Shudder, give us money.
Shudder, give us money. Awesome. Yeah. So, a couple of my list. Some of these I gotta say, some of the ones on Shudder, which again, Shudder, give us money. Are ones that I've never seen before, because they have a couple on there that are some old classics. But the one that I watched most recently, and truthfully, John, this is the one that actually kind of put the idea in my head for us to cover these Christmas horror movies that are already on streaming, is this film called Better Watch Out.
Yes.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, when you were talking about the paint cans with Home Alone, I'm like, man, I hope that he mentions Better Watch Out.
Okay. So I literally came across this movie. I've seen it a couple times on Shudder, and I've watched a trailer for it. I'm just like, it doesn't look that good. It just looks like a 2000s movie with just kind of a rehash of a slasher. So I wasn't really interested in it. And the truth is that after watching it, the trailer for Better Watch Out is fucking brilliant. Because it didn't give away anything.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how much we should say.
Yeah, but seriously, like, at most trailers for horror movies, truthfully, they do a terrible job of giving enough away to the audience without giving away the whole movie. Like, there have been multiple times that I've watched trailers on Shudder, and again, this isn't Shudder's fault, it's the production's fault. Where I've watched it, I'm just kind of like, oh, well, why do I need to watch a fucking movie then?
Yeah.
Because I know everything. I know there's a monster. I know this is the situation they're in, and I know everything's going to happen. But with Better Watch Out, it's really interesting because if you watch just the trailer, you get the idea that you kind of know what it's going to be. And then you watch the movie, and it's a complete 180. And it is really refreshing and really surprising. John, you saw this before, right?
Oh yeah, I loved it because I also had no idea going into it that there was going to be like, any like twists or turns in it. I thought it was going to be, but it was like recommended to us, so we're like, oh right, we'll check it out. And yeah, by the end of it, I was like, holy shit, that was unexpected and highly entertaining.
Oh, man, I was entertained the whole time. Like, I was just like, I'm locked in. Lauren was even locked in, and she's kind of hard to please when it comes to horror movies because she has some core ones that she watches. She loves the Halloween series, except for Season of the Witch. I'm sorry, John. But I know. But
she can't be perfect, I guess.
She can't. I mean, I find her perfect, but at the same time, I get it. So, but at the same time, like horror movies on Shudder, they kind of have to fall in a very like Rotten Tomatoes line to get enjoyment out of them. They have to, really be ones that she wants to dedicate her time to, which I get. You only got so many hours in the day, and you don't want to just watch crap. We were watching
I
Better
love
Watch
crap.
Out. I know. We were watching Better Watch Out, and I'm just like, this is really good. Like, really, really good. So I don't want to give everything away because I want you to go watch on Shudder. But basically, if you think this is going to be a babysitter, deals with some sort of killer at home on Christmas Eve, it's not.
You better watch out. Yeah.
It's not, because that's what the trailer leads you to think. And I mean, for me, I thought it was going to be that, but it's not. It is really, really, really good, and one that honestly, I'm surprised there isn't a sequel out yet to it. As this came out, I think it was 2010.
Yeah, somewhere around.
Yeah, and it was a while ago. But yeah, there were reports that they were going to make a sequel to it, but there hasn't been any information thus far on it. But it's surprising because this is a really good movie. Like, it's not just a really good horror movie. It's not just a really good Christmas movie. It's a really good movie filled with a lot of irony. It's got one of my favorite actresses in it, Virginia Madsen, in it, in a role playing a mom, which it's funny because she clearly has problems with her husband, played by Patrick Warburton, I think is his name.
Warburton.
Yeah. Warburton. So he's Putty from Seinfeld and also Joe from Family Guy.
Well, that's right. Hey, Pat, where's the wheelchair ramp? But yeah, no, this is actually 2016, dude. It was
2016. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Still, it's interesting that it hasn't had a sequel yet.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, Better Watch In. I don't know.
No.
Oh, well, Better Watch Out Harder, or Better Watch Out with a Vengeance.
Or are you just adding like 90s sequel jargon?
Live Free
to
or
it?
Better Watch Out, or A Good Day to Better Watch Out. There you go.
You made them all Die Hard. I mean, Die Hard is a Christmas movie after all. I mean, we've discussed that.
Wait, I got it. Better Watch Out Returns, Better Watch Out Forever, and
Nope.
Better Watch Out and Robin.
Yeah, and then of course, there is Better Watch Out Begins, Better Watch Out Night, and Better Watch Out Rises. Yeah, we could do this all day. But we're not going to. The thing is, though, this movie does land on a cliffhanger, so that's why I've said it's kind of interesting that a sequel hasn't been made yet. But anyway, moving on from there, my next pick, aside from Better Watch Out, was A Christmas Horror Story.
Yes.
On Shudder. Now this one, the box art makes me not want to watch it. You know what I mean?
I think it's got what about the box art? Because I think it's actually. Are you talking about the one where like Santa and Krampus are like basically ready to duel? Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Back in the day when I would go to the video store, this is old man Brian talking. The box art would video store. The box art would be the only piece of marketing that would cue you in to the quality of a film. And towards the end of that era, like I'm talking like when video stores were on the endangered species list, I started to see really, really crappy box art that you could tell had been really slapped together in Photoshop in like a day.
Yeah.
So, there was one I remember watching. I remember not watching. I scroll past it all the time when I went to Hollywood Video in Cranberry. And it was vampires versus werewolves. No, it was vampires versus zombies. And it was like,
I think it's a pretty one-sided fight.
It is pretty much a one-sided fight. I mean, one group's undead, like literally you can't kill them. The other one has clear things that can kill it. Zombie can be walking around in the daytime. Can a vampire? Not really. But I remember the box art was basically a rip-off of Freddy vs. Jason. Like it had that side by like that profile like versus thing, and I'm just like, ugh, it's so gross. But there were other ones that I saw that just crappy box art, and the box art for this, yes, it's Krampus versus Santa, but it just kind of reminded me of those really shitty Photoshop ones that were kind of thrown together. And I know why they did it, right? Because this movie is hard to pinpoint exactly what it's about, because it's an anthology film, which right off the bat, that's why I like this movie. But the box art doesn't do it any justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that this movie has a nice balance between taking itself seriously and being camp at the same time.
Yes, I agree. Like, the opening of it basically has Santa Claus covered in blood with an axe.
As he should be.
As he should be. It is preceded by some of the worst 2000 CGI that I've seen.
Yeah, it's kind of fun though. Like,
it's fun, but it's also like, okay, we're going down there, huh? It's got William Shatner in it, which is cool.
Oh,
glad to see he's still working.
Yeah. Yesterday at Row House, some guy came in as a bloody Santa with an axe, and he had to be like, "Oh, or it's not real." I'm like, okay, cool, because it looks real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Does that happen all the time?
No, it was like they were just doing like some kind of like Santa pub crawl, and obviously they like what we're talking about today wanted to be ironic Santa, like where Santa was crazy, you know.
I mean, I think a fat man in red and white clothes who goes around the whole earth in one night delivering presents, going down people's chimneys. That sounds kind of crazy to me.
What, you mean Tim Allen?
Yeah. Yeah, Tim Allen. By the way, the story of the Santa Claus is one of the most terrifying stories out there.
Oh, yes. Well,
if you really think about it.
Be on the lookout for my new episode coming out on my YouTube channel on that movie. So
look how you got the plug there. You got the plug there.
Yeah,
cheap plug. But yeah, getting back to A Christmas Horror Story, this movie is basically a really nice anthology film. So it's like little multiple stories inside of one movie, and I like the way that they kind of weaved it, because most anthology films will have, like, you know, the storyteller, and then they'll go into each one, which I love those. I mean, the anthology horror film is absolutely one of my favorite subgenres of horror. Yeah, because it's almost like you get a chocolate box, right? You get a box of chocolates, and you got each one's a different kind of flavor, and that's kind of what an anthology horror film is. You know, maybe you like a little bit of zombie horror. That's okay. That's over here. Some vampire one. You know, there's a bunch of different ones kind of mixed in, and it's all usually around a theme. So it's really a good treat. But this one is very much like that. You've got a couple stories here with a DJ played by William Shatner, who apparently really loves Christmas, and I guess doesn't understand why people might hate it. You've got Santa Claus versus zombie elves, which
was great. Yeah,
it was great. Well, I find it hilarious that the elves, the way you know that they're zombies is that they start like uttering obscenities, and that's hilarious. Yeah. Because their voices are all like, it's like their balls have been removed. They're like, "Get away from me, you fat bitch!" It's like, whoa, dude.
Find the door, Santa.
And he's like, yelling, "Shiny, why are you doing this, Shiny?" It's like, oh god, it's great. It's great.
Of course, there would be an elf named Shiny.
Of course there is. Who's patient zero?
Dewdrop and
yeah, Dewdrop and reindeer shit. You know, that sort of name. Yeah, he that's the one who's heating the North Pole, by the way. Reindeer shit, the elf. Yeah. We don't want him on the toy floor. He has to stay down by the furnace and shovel coal into it. But yeah, it's kind of got a mixed bag of things in there. And of course you have to have Santa Claus versus Krampus, which is completely against the whole story of Krampus, because as I've told my little one who's learned about Krampus is Santa Claus's buddy.
Yeah.
Okay? He is. He's the anti-Santa. He's his buddy. He takes away the naughty kids and puts them in a sack and then throws them in the river.
And you told this to Coraline?
Well, here's the thing. We were decorating the tree, and I just said, yes, I brought up Krampus, but I said in a way that was appropriate for a 3-year-old. So what she ended up proceeding to do after we were decorating the tree, she was just like, "Krampus, he's Santa Claus's buddy."
It's like, yeah.
I mean, he is, because we were going to go to Krampusnacht, down in Market Square, but we didn't do that. Which I've wanted to every year go see Krampusnacht.
Me too. I've never done it.
Never done it. You know why? Because it falls on a fucking Monday.
Yeah.
Every year it falls on a goddamn Monday, which I get it. That is Krampusnacht, but Jesus Christ, man. Right beginning of the work week on a Monday. But yeah, we wanted to go and we didn't end up doing it. But we were decorating the tree and I was just telling her about Krampus. And I didn't say anything horrible. I just said, like, he's Santa Claus's buddy. He takes away the really bad kids. I said, but you're okay. You're not a really bad kid. Your brother's maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I just said, like, don't go to preschool and say anything about this.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want is a phone call saying, Coraline is saying that Santa Claus has a buddy named Krampus, and he stinks. I didn't say that he takes kids away and puts them in a bag. She actually came up with the idea that he puts them in a box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I worry about that kid sometimes.
No, she's being raised right. She's being raised right. Listen, I'm not putting on, like, HBO and putting on, like, a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 for her, which that was my growing up.
Yeah.
And I grew up just fine.
It's like, oh, look, Friday the 13th Part 5 is on. Possibly the worst one, but it's the cheapest, so here it is.
It is.
Yeah.
My final one here, and then I have a couple honorable mentions, is one that's not on Shudder, but sorry, Shudder. If you pay me, I will mention only your movies. But this one is one that, for me at least, around this time of the year, I like to watch a lot of horror movies because, why not? But unfortunately, when you have children and you have no privacy, which if you have kids, you know that's par for the course right there. I mean, there have been so many times that I've been in the bathroom and I've heard a knock on the door or a door just opens up. I'm like, I'm in here, guys. Yeah. But when you don't have any privacy to watch a horror movie because you have young children, you have to watch something, and you don't want to watch the Santa Claus for the 50,000th time, which is not.
Who wouldn't?
I know, but come on. There's only
Crumbles
so
at
many.
his finest.
Yeah, I know, and it is honestly a horrifying movie if you really think about it. But
Yeah.
I wanted to watch something that was family appropriate, but at the same time had just the right level of terror. And the only one I could think about is the only movie that, in my opinion, can serve as both a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's not a Halloween movie.
It can be.
I will say the imagery is great.
Are we going to
for
fight?
Halloween.
Yeah. Are we gonna fight, dude.
We should have a whole episode on is it Halloween or Christmas movie? We haven't done a slugfest in like 3 years, so we should do one.
True. We haven't done a slugfest. Maybe that's something that we bring back to live shows. Maybe the live shows become the slugfest. That might be a cool thing. But anyway, A Nightmare Before Christmas, one of my favorite of Tim Burton's films, even though it's not really his film. It's actually David Selleck's film, who David Selleck went on to make the movie Coraline and a bunch of other classic stop-motion animation films. He basically was behind, what the hell's the studio that made Coraline and a bunch of other ones. It's on the tip of my tongue. But the point is that this actually was directed by David Selleck, but the story and the imagery is all from the mind of Tim Burton. Because at the time that he was making this, he was making Batman Returns.
Yeah, I think he was going to direct this movie, but then the studio's like, nah, you're going to make a Batman Returns. So he kind of had to take like a back.
Well, he was producer on it, but he was not like not involved. He was, and I only know this because I watched the movies that made us. That's on Netflix. Good
Netflix
series.
Yeah.
Netflix, you can pay us too if Shudder doesn't want to get in on that sweet, sweet Psycho show action. But I watched an episode on A Night Before Christmas on the movies that made us, and Tim Burton was quite literally coming by and flying over on a weekly basis to check on the progress of this. So he was very much involved on a level that most producers probably aren't.
It was kind of like Lucas on, like, you know, Return of the Jedi. You know?
Yeah,
just looming around all the time. Like,
yeah. But this movie was one of his babies, and he had imagery for this for years, and wanted it to come to fruition. And it really is. If you I really think this is like the Christmas horror movie that you can watch with everybody. You know, it's the one you could put on. My daughter's seen it a bunch of times, and she knows who Sally and Jack Skellington are, and it's a good time. You know, there are some scary moments in there, so there's that. But it's the one that you can just kind of put on. It's also probably why it's on Disney Plus. But yeah, it's a good film to watch, and I go with the whole idea that it is not just a Christmas story, but it is Halloween, because I don't know, the first half of it is based in Halloween Town.
Yeah, and I love that Disney Plus has this, like, as one of their huge marketing things for the holidays, when they didn't even distribute it under their main umbrella.
I was gonna say, you are right. Disney did not like this movie.
Yeah, now they love it because
now they love it.
Yeah,
yeah, they did not like this movie. Period. They distributed it under Touchstone Pictures, which is their redheaded stepchild, you know, studio, or anything that was potentially offensive or adultish. They put on that label. It didn't make any money upon release. Like, it really kind of flopped. But
I don't think people were ready for ironic Christmas at that point.
They weren't. I mean, I was all into this in 1994 when it released. But, you know, I also know that I was in the minority in that. It wasn't until home video and years later that you had a cult kind of build to this, to the now where fucking Disney is like, oh yes, Night Before Christmas, it's our favorite movie. No, it's not. Don't lie.
Yeah.
You like it because it generates money. You can sell, you know, Sally dolls and you know, a lot of shit at Hot Topic because of it.
Oh, and they're all over Disney World too. Like, you know, like in the
really?
movie studio part. Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
I haven't been to Disney World ever.
Yeah.
I haven't been there. I've been to Disneyland, but not Disney World.
Yeah, because you're from the West Coast. You're like Tupac, and you're Tupac fan, man, and I'm a Biggie fan.
Didn't work out too well for either of those.
No.
People did it.
But two quick notes here. It's Leica Studios.
That's it. Like, I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. I was like, it begins with an L.
And just to avoid any actuallys out there,
Actually,
it was 93 for.
Fuck. You know, I'm pretty good about hitting the nail on the head on the years.
Oh, yeah, you are. I
So-
thought I was good at it until I met you.
I knew it was not 93. God, that was when it was released, and I think the home video came out. I'm pissed about that all day now. So those are my three pick. Honorable mentions, because I have a couple honorable mentions here. Christmas Evil, which is on Shudder.
Oh my God, it's you know, it might even be more perfect than Silent Night, Deadly Night if you want like cheesy exploitative.
Oh, it is totally
Santa
exploitation.
slashers. It's amazing. Yeah.
It opens with a kid watching his mom get fellatioed by Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
As you do. Which, by the way, completely unrealistic. Completely unrealistic. Like, you go into the bedroom for that sort of thing.
Well,
you don't do it right. You don't do it right in front of the tree with all the presents everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you wouldn't want your kids being like, "Hey, why does my gift smell like a Curves?" You know?
Yeah, or why is there milk all over my presents?
But also that lady doesn't even have a leg lifted. Like, God, man, give him like a little bit of help there.
I was going to say that guy's neck is going to be so sore. On top of the fact that he probably had to put together some really complex gifts beforehand, like he had to build a bike or some shit, and then on top of that, his neck is going to be sore all Christmas Day. Yeah, it's going to be a rough time for that kid's dad. But aside from that one scene, It's a great film. It really is. Kid goes nuts, dresses up, is obsessed with Santa Claus, and starts going down his naughty list of people and killing them. It's a good time. It's a good time.
And it's John Waters' favorite Christmas movie. So
I'm not
there's
surprised.
that. He
Not
did the
surprised.
director's commentary for it. So, but it's funny. I met John Waters, and it was like one of the like autograph signings, you know, like where he'd sign his new book and
Yeah.
everything. And like he seemed like grossly not disinterested, but just kind of like, oh, I'll sign this book, you know, and then with the next one in line. And I brought up Christmas Evil to him, and then he started talking and talking. And I could tell the person that was supposed to keep the line moving was a little bit pissed because we were just sitting there talking about that movie for like probably 10 minutes. So.
Yeah. It's also one of the collection of films that tend to have evil at the end of it. Like there's New Year's Evil, which I think came out like a year or so after this. But yeah, it's a total exploitation film from the 80s, and it's glorious if you're looking for a true slasher. And one to actually like chase your Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1 and 2 with, you know? Also, another honorable mention is Krampus, the Michael Dougherty film from 2015 is when it came out.
Sounds rightish to me. I'm going to check while you talk.
I don't know. My year radar might be off.
It's early.
But yeah, Krampus I think it came out around the same time as A Christmas Horror Story, and it is goofy and very slick. It's a slick Hollywood production. It's not indie level. It is clearly has some money behind it. It's made by the same people who made Trick or Treat. But I will say that while it is great, it is not nearly as memorable as Trick or Treat is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like there's not really anything I can think about scenes from the film Trick or Treat like without even blinking. But with Krampus, I don't really think of anything off the top of my head. You know, it's like I know it, I saw it, but it for me at least, it was not as groundbreaking as Trick or Treat is.
And you were right. It was 2015.
Yeah, redeem myself.
Yeah. I would say, dear listeners, make sure that you see that it's 2015, that it stars David Koechner, because there's like 6 or 7, you know, Krampus movies that are out there that were made for like $3. So you want to watch this one. You know?
Yeah, Krampi. There's Krampi, as we would call it.
Love that chicken from Krampi.
Yeah. 2 more honorable mentions. Jack Frost. Not the Michael Keaton snowman
That's
movie.
even more terrifying.
That is terrifying just because of the fact that your dad's dead and his spirit has inhabited a fucking snowman.
See, that's the movie that should have had a sex scene with the snowman.
Yes,
you know, instead of a rape scene, it should have just been like this intimate love scene between like her husband and herself. You know, she's getting frostbite on her cooch, but like she doesn't care because she just loves him.
Yeah. Jack Frost is actually on Amazon. Krampus is on Amazon as well. Jack Frost is one of those movies that I discovered was right before like Cinemax After Dark. Like they played this in December, right before Cinemax After Dark. And yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? Because it literally, I clicked the channel, and this was maybe when I was like 12. And sure enough, it was the scene where Jack Frost is raping a woman. Yeah.
And that's one of those realizations that the world is not like a good place. Like Mr. Rogers was wrong.
Yes. Yes. When a homicidal maniac basically is, I think, what is it? Like his remains are mixed together with fucking snow.
Yeah.
Like it's like Sandman from Spider-Man 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's Freddy versus Jason, Sandman versus Jack Frost.
There you go. Yeah, or I mean, the great equalizer would be Saltman versus Sandman versus Jack Frost.
Yeah,
and we all know who would win in that battle. But yeah, this movie is terrible, but it's definitely one of those ones that you throw the kids away at bedtime and you watch this because this is not appropriate at all. And go ahead, man.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to give a couple of recommendations or things to stay away from, because if you do want to message me, anybody on Facebook or Unreal J Wolves at Twitter, I am kind of because I've wasted my life an encyclopedia on Christmas horror.
I've wasted my life.
If you want to watch, here's the movie that is the most amazing movie to me in terms of it's technically a Christmas horror movie, but it has nothing to do with it. That would be The Dorm That Dripped Blood from 1982.
Oh, that's a deep cut.
It takes place at like Christmas break, but there's no decorations anywhere. There's no indication that it's even like the holiday season. One character near the end of the movie goes, "Well, Jim, Merry Christmas." And I'm like, oh, there's the only goddamn reference to the holiday ever. To All a Good Night is basically unwatchable. But it's interesting if you want to just watch pure crap. Elves, which we talked about.
Oh my God, Elves!
It's just inexcusable, but it's amazing.
You know, here's the funny thing, John. I've seen more this year of kind of people talking about Elves than I have in the entire time that I knew that this movie existed.
It's because of us, I think.
It's because of
You're welcome, America.
Bringing you Elves and not see incest or Christmas movie.
Yeah. I like to look at tits, and my sister's got big tits. You want my son to say what?
Yeah. My final last recommendation, and this is, again, kind of in line with Jack Frost, is The Ginger Dead Man.
Oh, my God. With Busey?
Yeah. Yeah. That one's really bad. But at the same time, it has Gary Busey playing a gingerbread man.
Oscar-nominated Gary Busey.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think this one's on Amazon as well. Yeah. But yeah, those are my picks. Again, the honorable mentions are ones that I would say watch these, but they're not as great as the top three that I picked.
Wait, Brian, how do we not mention, like, in terms of like family ones, like the pinnacle most obvious one in the world?
Which is that one?
Gremlins.
You're right. I think you know why I think we didn't mention it? Because it's on everyone's fucking list.
Yeah, but it is one you can watch with the kids. I mean, I would say maybe like 8 and up. I don't know. But
yeah, I tried watching Gremlins with Coraline at one time because it was when we were just like looking for horror movies, and because my daughter has, my blood in her, she gravitates toward those, but also is 3, so she's also scared of them. And I'm like, oh, well, Gremlins is not that bad. And then you watch it, it's like, no. Joe Dante has put some pretty scary stuff in this. And there were moments where she's like, I don't want to watch this. I'm like, okay, let's turn it off. So, it is one that is a bit more family friendly. I'd say it's like a step up from Nightmare Before Christmas, where maybe Nightmare Before Christmas is pretty saccharine compared to Gremlins. But yeah, Gremlins is a good one too. I know for me, I didn't include it because everybody does. It takes place at Christmas time. It's about these little monsters, and it's about also consumerism and how it can kill you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. No one likes to talk about that part, too. That is the monster is brought home because of a dad trying to buy his son's love.
Pretty much, yeah.
Love kills the town.
The man is blissfully incompetent.
Oh, he's the worst inventor ever. Like, I don't know how you could fuck up that much, but he does. Peltzer is the worst inventor ever. Bathroom buddy, who the fuck would want that? Yeah. Yep.
Oh, can I quickly mention, because I try to watch something new every year, and it's getting very hard for me. Can I mention what's going to be on my list?
Absolutely,
here?
dude.
So Deadly Games, which I just found out.
Oh, Deadly, not Deadly Friend?
It's
Games?
It's also, I always love when these movies that like go around like the country and get named different things. Although this is a French movie. It's also AKA Dial Code Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that one on Shudder.
Yeah, this one was supposed to be like Lost to Time, but it's one of those like somebody looked in a warehouse somewhere or a closet and found it. So I'll be checking that out. And this one is obviously a hell of a lot more recent. But I'm going to be watching Creepshow's holiday special.
I saw that last year. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I was surprised. I mean, I love Creepshow, the series, to begin with, and I was very critical of them creating it in the first place because, I don't know, I like Creepshow and Creepshow 2, the films. But yeah, no, Creepshow holiday special is definitely a good one. Good pick. Good pick. Awesome. Well, I think we've talked about a lot of Christmas horror this episode. John, some final thoughts?
Yeah, you know, it is fun to have a gamut of things at the holidays, and I do watch like maybe one or two of the saccharine things, but yeah, for the most part, like you, Brian, I want comedy, I want exploitation, I want, irony. Like I love Beavis and Butthead Do Christmas. I love the Saturday Night Live, like, best of Christmas special. Like, anything that kind of mocks the holidays or just has fun with it because, as fun as the holidays can be, they're also insane. So
they're insane and they're also extremely stressful.
Yes.
Extremely stressful just because, like, one, if you've got kids, you've got to spend a crap ton of money to try to buy presents and stuff for them. And you could go in going like, well, I'm not going to get them. No, you'd end up doing it. On top of that, it's a time of the year where, in my opinion, all of the family fucking drama just culminates, right? Those the people you've tried to stay away from for the past year. You're like, no, I got to deal with them now. But it's just, you also, I think, in my opinion, people try to compare themselves, or are they celebrating the holidays the same way as everyone else is? And if you're not, does that mean something's wrong with you? Like, there's a lot of one-upmanship, at least I see around the holidays when it comes to Christmas. So it's good to have an escape like a Christmas horror movie or like a very sardonic comedy that's Christmas themed, just to kind of give yourself a little bit of a pick-me-up, in my opinion.
Yeah. Try not to take the holidays too seriously.
Don't.
Yeah. Just have fun with it.
That's all you can do. Have fun with it. It's a stressful time of the year. I'll be the first to say that. Especially having kids now. When I didn't have children, it was stressful, but you add kids in the mix, and it definitely gets stressful. A lot of things you have to go do, a lot of events, and it can be hard to kind of, center yourself and kind of, give yourself the, a little bit of room. And honestly, sitting down, watching one of these great Christmas horror movies, that can kind of do the thing that gets you through this time of the year. Okay.
With a Christmas beer or peppermint schnapps.
Oh, yeah, totally. You got to be drinking some sort of Christmas-themed thing, or just like some eggnog that's been super spiked up with some sort of liquor. That's my personal go-to. I love eggnog already, but a little bit of something in it.
I knew a guy from undergrad who tried to drink it all year, and he would get pissed like come February when he couldn't find it anymore.
He can make it. Like, you can make eggnog. It's not that difficult to make.
Yeah.
But this isn't a cooking show. So, with that said, John, where can they find you at on the social medias?
You can find me at Naughty. at the Unreal J Wolves, and check out my YouTube channel. I have things coming up on Rudolph and the Santa Claus, and hopefully, fingers crossed, a couple of interviews. I'm being dragged around or not being gotten back to, but I'm hoping to have at least one holiday themed interview coming up soon here at J-Dub's Video Nasties.
Nice. You can also find me at Brian Coddington from the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network, epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, or maybe you really, really, really hate Christmas horror movies, and we have basically sullied your holiday, you can send us complaints and death threats at thecinemapsychoshow.com. Be sure to subscribe to us or follow us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time.
Garbage day! No!